Mr Turnbull, following the Uluru Statement and the Referendum Council report back in 2017, you repeatedly asserted that having a third chamber or an assembly would be contrary to our democracy. However, neither the word chamber or assembly was used in either of those documents. You made this up. Because you assumed a request that we never made, this completely derailed the process of seeking recognition. Mr Turnbull, why did you just fabricate this?
Well, look, the Noel Pearson, who, as you know, was the main spokesperson for the Uluru Statement for the Heart, and you're right, the questioner is right. The Uluru Statement from the Heart is a piece. It's a piece of poetry. It is a beautiful piece of evocative poetry.
You rejected it.
But the point is, I agreed with it. I totally.
So why did you reject the proposal?
Because what we're talking about, the proposal that my government said we did not agree with, which we rejected, I suppose, was the proposition that there would be an advisory chamber or assembly, committee, whatever you want to call it, council.
No mention of assembly in the document.
No, but Hamish, you can't live. We can't ignore the reality that was what the proposal was.
Sure, we can't ignore the details either.
No,
and I'm just
no. You are ignoring the details. With great respect, the Uluru Statement was a statement of heartfelt passion for recognition and a voice. Okay, the concrete manifestation of that, as set out by Noel and as presented to us, was that there should be an assembly, a council, an advisory body, which would be elected solely by and composed solely by Indigenous Australians. Now, my view and the view of my government was that, and this would be entrenched in the Constitution, was that all of our elected constitutional bodies should be open to all Australians. And so it was essentially me, insofar as I was expressing my views, but it was the decision of Cabinet, my very strong small r Republican views that the only qualification you should have to be elected to a public office or a representative body in Australia is to be an Australian citizen.
Narelda,
so that's the reason.
Is that how you saw it?
Look, the Uluru Statement from the Heart gathered elders from all over the country, and that was the consultation that you needed to be able to have an enshrined voice to Parliament, for the enshrined voice to be protected by the Constitution, because self-determination is the only way that we're going to close the gap, because it hasn't been done yet, and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people know what's best for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The other, I think, indirect benefit of having an enshrined voice to Parliament, as dictated by or requested by the Uluru Statement from the Heart, is that First Nations people are the heart and soul of this country. And I think Australia will agree that Canberra and Parliament House has lost its soul. And by having a presence, so having a physical presence in the halls of power in Canberra, will bring back the heart and soul that it desperately needs.
Sarah Hanson-Young?
Well, we've just had the first Aboriginal woman elected from Victoria to join our party room, Lydia Thorpe, and I must say the injection of her soul,
yes,
her wisdom, her passion, and her determination to have the rest of us reckon with the truth has just been phenomenal. The conversations that we are having in our party room around everyday issues that we're debating are presented and debated even already, even just with one extra person in our room, in a different way, in a more holistic way. And I can only speak from that experience, but if that is of a group of 10 of us, imagine the impact if we had more First Nations people elected to our Parliament and in our Parliament. I think above all else, and Lydia is extremely passionate about this, and we have to be listening to First Nations people much more. Their voice is essential in all of this. And when we, whether we're talking about how Australia is responding to the incarceration rates of young people, sure, let's take some government reviews and advice, but actually let's listen to the mothers of the young Aboriginal men who are being locked up for petty crimes. Let's listen to the children of the mothers who are being locked up because they didn't pay a parking fine. There is so much we have to reckon with. And, I'm a true believer in a treaty. Yes, we need a voice, but we desperately need to reckon with the truth.
Yes.
And we need to, and I say that as a white Australian. I wasn't taught the history of this nation when I was in school. And I went to school with lots of First Nations kids. I grew up in East Gippsland. There was a mission only 20 k's down the road. We weren't taught about their history. They were led into the classroom and we didn't even talk about their culture, and they were living with us. They were my friends. We learnt together, but we didn't learn anything about their culture, and it's time we did.
Yeah.
Okay.